When wholly examining the widespread changes that have occurred in Cincinnati over the last 2 centuries, it is quite clear to see the immense degree of constructive development that has occurred. On the other hand, however, the consequences of such developments are quite masked and especially overlooked. From widespread and residential displacement to losing the sense of what one calls home, the last 200 years for Cincinnati have sought constant and especially controversial alteration. The following documentary will focus specifically on the changes in Avondale and Corryville, two neighborhoods that surround what is commonly known today as the University of Cincinnati. On the surface, one may pinpoint the 1960 Avondale-Corryville General Neighborhood Renewal Plan as the overbearing contributor to the sheer array of physical and social consequences within these two neighborhoods. However, this documentary is not centered around the role of the area's mid-20th century renewal. Instead, this analysis will take a step back by focusing on the role of university developments in the greater Cincinnati area. In doing so, I hope to answer an essential two-sided question. How has the University of Cincinnati and its developments helped influence the rise of renewal processes in Avondale and Corryville, and what can we learn from the impacts and especially consequences of such developments in renewal processes? In 1819, the Cincinnati College was built and formally established on Walnut Street, just north of 4th Street. On top of this, the Medical College of Ohio was opened as well. While the implementation of these two institutions in the beginning of the 19th century appear to be minor infrastructural additions on the surface, such establishments are vital precursors to the constant transformation of the physical atmosphere, social functionings of the neighborhoods, and urban renewal processes that later came forth. Known today for its massive student population and expansive on-campus facilities and off-campus activities, the University of Cincinnati was created in 1870. Combining both the Cincinnati College and the Medical College of Ohio, the establishment of UC at the end of the 19th century, along with its continuous advancements and additions, has been a significant contributor not just to widespread land use alterations and demographic changes, but also to a deeply rooted array of physical and social consequences. In all sorts of lenses, the University of Cincinnati has been constantly expanding since its inception. As seen here, diverse educational programs were established to cater towards the continuous incoming wave of students. From engineering stations to surgical practice, these examples are just two of many that highlight not only the expansion of student outreach, but also the expansion of physical infrastructures to support it. However, at this point, the influx of developments are far from over. More importantly, however, the rise of urban renewal efforts are just beginning to formulate. Thus far, the Cincinnati area has already been exposed to a severely altered state. As the university influenced demographic changes in Corryville and owners neglected the properties of minority renters in Avondale, the constant mess that was created within the Cincinnati area resulted in an increased desire for effective planning. Quite early in the process, Cincinnati became the first city in the nation to implement a formalized plan by a city council in 1925. At this point, urban growth became a clear focus. Improving public spaces, including the addition of recreational facilities and activities, and mitigating traffic congestion, became the idealized view of urban planning. By 1948, however, the tone of such planning began to shift. Rather than focusing on urban growth, the planning process in Cincinnati began focusing on adhering to the factors that fuel urban deterioration, especially amid the suburban expansion period. In 1954, the Federal Housing Act, or FHA, was implemented, bringing forth the official designations of slum and blight. The FHA is often referred to as the inception of urban renewal, as federal assistance became a crucial part of improving the urban centers that were beginning to receive such designations. Finally, in 1960, the Avondale-Corryville General Neighborhood Renewal Plan was implemented for the purpose of improving, or attempting to improve, the civic spaces of the two neighborhoods. All in all, however, for what or whom were such revitalization efforts actually representing? The 1960 Avondale-Corryville General Neighborhood Renewal Plan is a very controversial implementation, pushing the immense divide between stakeholders. While it had its plans established in improving the conditions of the neighborhoods, the actual process brought with it an even further array of consequences. In 1961, a large portion of Vine Street in Corryville was closed down in order to build and open a Kroger complex. In 1964, the massive Scioto Hall was constructed in order to support the increasing student population at the University of Cincinnati. In 1967, UC's Medical Center was opened, adhering to the outreach of students seeking educational advancements in that field. Finally, in 1975, a 22-acre EPA facility was built directly near the campus, adding yet another research addition to the area. All in all, throughout this process, several hundreds of low-income and minority families, especially African Americans, experienced residential displacement as a result of such developments. Not only that, it is clear to see that the renewal initiatives imposed during the 1960 plan heavily support the university and its constant ongoing developments. All in all, the developments of the university have been immensely overpowering and certainly influential in the upbringing of urban renewal in the greater Cincinnati area. As infrastructural expansions panned out into student outreach, the restructuring of the area's layout grew quite immense. As a result, a wide array of social and physical consequences, especially including residential displacement, became increasingly prevalent throughout the developments of the university and the formal renewal initiatives. Overall, it is clear to see that the overlooked consequences of such advancements must be highlighted. As the desire for a renewal began to flourish and seek action, the long-term divide between stakeholders became rooted. On the surface, it is easy to see the benefits of such processes. With the expansion of educational and employment opportunities, for example, there is no doubt that such developments have their positives. However, the consequences are far overlooked. From the displacements of hundreds of families to decades of civil unrest rooted by racial tensions, inequitable access to employment and opportunities and resources, and the lack of effective attention in both the political realm and social realm, it is essential to see that such consequences must be brought up and thoroughly discussed. From an urban planning perspective, researching and understanding such consequences can help establish frameworks and plans that account for such consequences ahead of time, in turn mitigating the harsh divide that may likely ensue.